well, there's rent, right? But everybody just talks about rent and overhead, but insurance, right? And how much that costs, liability, cleaning services, organization services, upkeep, your therapist who's going to work your front desk, personalities, upkeep, maintenance. Like Anna and I were talking with you earlier about, and we're in the heart of Jersey City. We're in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And we're in an upcoming area, but, there was somebody sleeping in front of the building. And like, as a woman, I'm here alone. So it can be a little, those are things I didn't expect to have to deal with. But I look at the community and I understand it. And I understand it.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Christopher Donoso, speech therapist, voice enthusiast, and your host of Tell Me About It. This is the podcast all about your voice, how we use it, how we find it, and what it means to us. I'll be talking with pros, creatives, and entrepreneurs about the messy, honest, behind-the-scenes stuff that doesn't always make it to the textbooks. Got something to say? Tell me about it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tell Me About It. I'm in a new location right here. Today, I'm in Little Milestones with my next guest, Latrenda Zabaleta.
Woo woo!
Welcome to Tell Me About It. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Mr. Chris?
I'm tired. We just had a day of work.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, though. So we're recording on a Friday after just treating a bunch of kids.
Yes.
So this is at the very tail end of our day. So I wanted to bring on a new guest today who does something totally different from the world of voice, from the world of speech language pathology, because Latrenda is an occupational therapist and a business owner here in Jersey City. So tell me about yourself, Latrenda.
Where do I begin?
How'd you get into the field of occupational therapy?
Oh, good question. Oh, I actually had a roommate in college that was a speech therapy major. I was a psychology major. And she came home one night and said, there's this field called occupational therapy. I think you'd be really good at it. And I was like, really? Never heard of it. And she goes, yeah, I think you'd be really good at it. And you should look into it. And I did. And I switched my major, graduated with a bachelor's in psychology, and then I went away to grad school for OT. That's how I became an OT.
What about OT got you interested?
So, I guess because I grew up in the disability world. I had a mom who was disabled, and from car accidents, she had several surgeries, and she kind of lost her ability to work, and that impacted our family very greatly. My brother, who is 10 years apart, was a year old when she became disabled, and my sister is 3 years younger than me, and she was 8 or 9, and I was in high school. And I realized how much her function was impacted. And so it made me really look at disability in a different way. How I ended up in pediatrics is a different story. But I guess disability in its context. So.
Let's actually backtrack a little bit quick, because I don't think a lot of people actually know what occupational therapy is.
Okay.
So why don't you give us a good rundown of what occupational therapy actually is?
This question actually makes me nervous, because we do so much.
I know. I mean, so do speech therapists.
Right. Exactly. So our scope is so wide. So it depends on who you ask and where the occupational therapist is. But our main goal for children would be play and function, how to get around in the world and be independent. And the same for adults, good at their jobs or whatever it is they're doing during the day, taking care of themselves, feeding, dressing. It depends on who you look at, but it could be anything to anybody. It could be your independence, your socialization, a healthy mind. So we work on so many different things, but here in this pediatric setting, we're working with our children and our families to help them become functioning children and adults.
Okay. So then tell me a little bit about your early occupational therapy journey. What was that like? What drove you, but also kind of was very difficult for you to manage?
As a occupational therapist
Early Latrenda, baby Latrenda in the occupational therapy
just
field.
thinking I could save the world. Just thinking that like taking it all home with me at the end of the day, not being able to compartmentalize, not being able to say this is not my child, or this is not my mom, or this is not my sister, and being like, this is a client, you're doing the best that you can, if you could do more you would, don't burn out. Right? Just taking it all on, taking it personally. I think I struggled with that. I've been an OT 13 years. I think I struggled with that for the first 10, which is a lot of struggle and stress. But for sure, the first 2 or 3 years were the hardest.
So then what was the breaking point where you kind of started making that divide?
I think when I became a mom, my energy shifted, and I was like, okay, have all of this love and just compassion, and I needed to put it somewhere and give it to somebody. And so when I became a mom, I was like, oh, he just takes it all up. He just soaks it like a sponge. I have no more left to
And
give
doesn't
to
even
anybody.
reciprocate it.
And you know him, Mr. Chris.
I do.
He doesn't know how much I love him.
So you were able to start finally making that divide, and then you decided to add more onto your plate, not just being an occupational therapist and not just starting a family. You ended up starting a business.
Yeah, this is my third baby.
The third baby.
The business is the third baby.
So what's the first and second?
The first one is my 8-year-old, Landon, who I have come to accept and realize is neurodivergent. Maybe in the last 1 or 2 years, I for sure have conversations with my husband about it all the time. And then I had Lucas, who actually was born the same year as this baby was born. And he was born 2 months early, premature. And so having these two boys and this third baby as a business, they require so many different things of me. And I'm a different mother to all three of them.
You have to be.
I have to be. They don't require the same things. And but they still require a lot of work and energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what drove you to start this third baby?
I wanted the freedom to do what I wanted to do with who I wanted to do it with. I wanted to create my own things. I have a very creative mind. I have a lot of aspirations, and I'm just constantly looking for something to do. And having this business made me feel like we could almost do anything here. I don't know if you've noticed, but like we will dip and dab into a little bit of everything here. And whenever somebody has a new idea, I'm like, we can do it at the clinic. We can do it at the clinic. We do everything here. We do OT, speech. We do a little PT on some occasions, birthday parties, anything inclusive. Parents' night out events. We did mom's night out events. So, I just wanted to have a place where anybody could come and enjoy themselves and have a break and have fun and be themselves.
Okay. So then that leads me into this, because as someone who also started their own business, there was something that kind of drove me to want to start that business. What drove you to want to start this? Like, it's great to have that idea and want this, but what sparked that initial want?
It was Landon. I wanted to bring him to work with me. I didn't want to be apart from him. As crazy as it sounds, because like he doesn't want anything to do with me some days. And like my dream became a reality, right? Because you see him here at the clinic with us in the evenings. And even more so, like with Lucas, who's 18 months, Lucas is like, he's born in this place. He's been coming into this place since he came out of the NICU at 2.5 weeks old.
I remember just starting here, you're rolling in with him.
And strapped to my chest. And yeah, so it has been, I never thought I would have a second child, but I'm so happy I did, and he gets to grow up here. And I would say that's it. It's the two of them. Just, I wanted them to be here with me. I didn't want to be apart from them. I didn't want to work and have people watching them, and I wanted them to grow up in an environment where they could understand people of all kinds and be kind to them. I wanted to make sure my boys were being raised as good citizens. And in a place like this, they'll see everything.
Yeah. We see everything here.
We see everything. And Landon does come home at the end of the night sometimes and goes, Mommy, why was so-and-so doing XYZ? So he may not look like he's paying attention, but he's paying attention. So I love that about that.
That's awesome. So you have this spark, you start this business. How did you go about actually like starting it? Like from visiting people's home and early intervention. And I'm assuming did you work in schools too?
I did, but in the beginning of my career.
So like schools, early intervention.
Early intervention kickstarted it, I think. Because like parents just, going into the home, you see them and you see what they don't have. And I was really starting to look at the glass as half empty going into homes instead of half full, and being like, what more can we provide to these children at an affordable rate, especially the Black and brown people in our community.
Yeah.
Seeing, also hearing stories about parents saying their children are not accepted in certain places when they go, or having anxiety about how they're going to perform or act in a certain environment was also part of the reason. Veronica is my business partner, but she was also Landon's preschool director. He did go to her preschool for a couple of years. And, when I was starting, I needed funding. Right. And I knew that I'm a team player. Like, I never wanted to own the business by myself. It's just too much on my back. And Veronica was like, I had pitched it on Facebook or something. I was doing a competition for $25,000. And I placed third. So I did get something. Right. Through our local Rising Tide community here, program here in Jersey City. But Veronica was like, I saw your thing when I was picking up Landon one day. I saw your thing and on Facebook, and I'm interested. What is this about? Just like that. That's how it was born. And I was like, well, let me pitch it to you. So I pitched her the business, and she was like, I want to do it. Let's do it. So that's kind of how it was born. And then that happened January 2020. And of course, everybody knows what happened in 2020. Yep. COVID hit in March. So we put a lot of things on pause, and we were looking at different locations, and we were considering rent and all of those things. And eventually we landed this place, but it took us a very long time to get here, and a lot of work and stress.
I can imagine. From someone who only owns a virtual business, there's already a lot of...
But a business is a business is a business.
I know, but having a location, there are things that you don't even think about that start to like hit you. So like, what are some things that like you didn't expect when it came to like starting like a brick and mortar location?
That is such a good question. So there were so many things. Where do I begin? Well, there's rent, right? But everybody just talks about rent and overhead, but insurance, right? And how much that costs, liability, cleaning services, organization services, upkeep, your therapist who's going to work your front desk, personalities, upkeep, maintenance. Like Anna and I were talking with you earlier about, and we're in the heart of Jersey City. We're in the middle, right? Yeah. And we're in an upcoming area, but there was somebody sleeping in front of the building, and like as a woman, I'm here alone. So it can be a little, those are things I didn't expect to have to deal with. But I look at the community and I understand it, Yeah. And I'm proud to still be here in this location. I wouldn't trade it. Yeah.
what is something then? So you went through a lot of things to like get to this point. What's something you would have done differently? Or like if you knew what you know now, what would you have like done differently or done better?
I think I would have, and this is me being totally honest and transparent, I would have researched more. Remember that night you and I were like voice memoing
Yeah.
about insurance reimbursement? I would have done a lot more research in that area because it is so sad how much these services are not covered by insurance. And so I thought I was going to come in here and change something and do something about it. And it's not on a level that I could have any sort of individual impact. But I wish I had known more about just how much the insurances would not pay.
Yeah.
And how much more of a cash-based business this would be.
Yeah. And even it's still very difficult when working with pediatrics, working with kids, and then working with adults is even harder just because adults don't even want to pay. Healthcare wise, adults don't want to pay for themselves.
That's so interesting because they'll pay for their children.
Yeah.
I guess you're right.
They're going to pay
Whatever it is.
They're going to take the shirt off their back for their child, but they will not pay for themselves.
They like goes back to like that self-care thing.
Yeah.
So interesting.
So that's why on my end as a business owner, I had to make the hard decision of like, I need to start taking insurance because with voice therapy, it tends to be with adults.
Yeah, that's your
and it's
community. Yeah.
super rare that they're going to want to pay out of pocket for services. I wouldn't pay out of pocket to go to the doctor for myself.
You know what? That brings me to a good point. I got a massage today. Right.
And when was the last time you got a massage besides that one?
So 2 weeks ago, right? But this was the second one. But before that, not ever. I'd never, not ever, have I ever treated myself to something like that. It was $100 at a physical therapy place for an hour. And I could see how this could start to add up and me start to say, I'm not going to invest that in myself anymore. I could put that $100 somewhere else, or I don't have the time, or let me, so yeah. It's not covered by insurance, even though I am a breast cancer survivor. So.
Yeah. So those are things that like, even for me, like I'm spending money on it, but I'm also like avoiding something bigger. Like I just started a skincare routine.
Me too. That was part of the things that one of the things I was like,
and that's expensive.
It is.
I have a friend who
you got to go to Fort Lee, honey.
Oh, well, I got I got all Korean products. I have a friend who recommended all these things for me, and I never did anything because I was just like, it's so expensive.
It's very expensive
and time consuming.
It is. I have one of my best friends is an OT. And she sends me things in the mail every now and then. It's for me to test out. She's like a guru, but she's like, yeah, this is really expensive, or this is really expensive. And yeah, it can be, but it's so rewarding to see your face clear up and brighten and glow.
And that's what I'm telling myself, like, one, you have to stick with it. Like I can't do it one night and think that my skin is going to be perfect the next day. But also like right now my skin is okay for my age, but it's going to get to the point where it's like, not gonna be okay and not gonna be able to get back to where it was.
Yeah.
So like I'm telling myself like, yes, this money is like, it's a lot of money, but it's gonna be something for me.
For you.
But like for me to still think about, like I still have to think about that.
You have to make it an issue. Like it has to be an intention. And going back to insurance, I could see how with voice therapy too, like my voice sounds fine probably, right?
Or well, there's a big issue that I always talk about, and I think something maybe you might have some input on, especially in like Latin communities. Even in voice, I've met so many Latin people with like messed up voices, and they're like, oh, I've always sound like this. I've just always sound like that. That's my voice. Even though it's like, you sure?
Are you sure? Do you not even know yourself?
Yeah. And I think there's a big issue with medicine and the Latin community. And I think that something that I'm trying to bring up a lot is like there's not enough Latin like people in medicine or healthcare that they don't trust.
They don't. They're still putting Vicks on their chests, okay?
In their socks, like on their feet, covered in with their socks, and think the next day they're going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the community. This is the cultural stuff. Yeah.
Like I did an observation in a hospital, and all the providers were, they weren't all, none of them were Latin. No one was Latin. There was some diversity. I'll give them that, but their clients
We're all
Latin.
Isn't that crazy?
And they had nothing. Like, I was there just observing, so like I just couldn't really. I was just supposed to be through like a glass window, and I was watching these clients visit them, and like there was a lot of cultural stuff happening, and
nobody picked up on it.
No one picked up on it.
Early intervention is like that. We have a lot of service providers that come from other counties and different parts of the city, and they come and they work in Jersey City, and the families don't identify with them. Here at the clinic at Little Milestones, look at our team. It's pretty
very, very diverse.
I mean, we got like 4 languages going on here. We have we have English, Spanish, Tagalog, and Arabic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have a great mix here.
But that's also the population, like a big chunk of the population.
That's Jersey City in a nutshell. Yeah.
And you're from Jersey City, right?
I'm originally from Hoboken, but I grew up in Jersey City.
Basically Jersey City.
Basically.
So then, like, how does it feel to create this space in this area that is also, like, for people who don't know, Jersey City is like, right now Jersey City is up and coming. But it wasn't always like that. Jersey City, you did not want to live in Jersey City. And the area that we are in right now is slowly starting to be changed, gentrified, for a lack of a better word. I feel like you're trying your best, and you are succeeding in creating a space that is accepting of not only the people who are coming here, but also the people who've always been here.
The natives. Yeah. I think you need both. I think you need both. I think both are important. They have their own pluses and minuses, but I think both are necessary.
Yeah.
That was extremely important to me. I wanted children to identify with who they were working with. You are like a unicorn, right? Because you're a Hispanic male who speaks Spanish and does speech therapy. Like, what? Right? But you're also queer. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm gay, but queer technically is like the encompassing, like umbrella term.
See, I'm learning. And so, as you know, like, children are now growing up, and their families are becoming more open to talking and having these discussions, but also they look like you. So I think that's so important. I had a little girl ask me about my hair care routine recently. Like, it's important to for these babies to identify with us, as especially in the sense of success, that they can do it too.
Yeah. And I think not even just the kids, but even, I guess, the parents too.
The parents. Yeah.
That like we're people of their community doing stuff and succeeding at doing the thing.
And giving it back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of, especially the natives here, are so used to people taking from them. And even just our community in general. We're just so used to being things being taken.
Or fighting for it all. Yeah.
Like everything is a fight. And you're in a competition
it's that
with
mentality.
that same person in your community. You're in a competition with them.
Yeah.
Because you both have to fight for that.
It's like a one-up thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we can all eat. There's plenty. People are coming from outside and doing it. Why can't we do it here in our own community?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, what are some things that you want to do more of in this space, that you've created?
Accessibility. Like, therapy should be accessible to anybody and everybody. It shouldn't matter how much money you have. Like, there's so many children out there that need services that parents just can't afford it. And I can't afford to give it to them either. It's like a hard place to sit, right? I have this dual loyalty too, right? To my family, to thrive in my business, but to the families that can't afford it too. So that's why we've created certain programming here to give children an opportunity to come in a therapeutic space for much less money.
Yeah.
So
It's hard.
it is hard.
It's so hard.
Sometimes it's impossible.
I mean, for someone who's like also look again, I'm the one who has to accept insurance. And like there's so many people that I'm like something just fell. I want to work with so many more people and I want to like give this out for free,
I know.
but like I need to make an income. I need to pay for rent. I need
Yeah,
to buy food.
You have to live.
And it's so hard to like I don't think people understand the position that we put ourselves in where it's like yes we're in a helping profession, like we want to help, and when we can't help it hurts.
It hurts. It's stressful.
But at the same time, like we have to draw a line where we're like, I'm sorry, we can't help you because we also have to be able to help ourselves.
I think that's the hardest part of my day. Sometimes it's figuring out how much to charge for certain things. Because you have to put a value on your worth, but you also want it to be accessible. You also want it to be something achievable that parents can actually pay for. It's a hard line
There are
to
like
walk.
every week, there's at least one time a week that I'm like, should I change my prices? Should I go lower?
I know. That's me and Veronica and I in text messages. I'm like, that's too steep. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine having to pay that. So
But like, so for a good example for me, like where I'm like, no, I'm charging fine is like, I take singing lessons. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I take singing lessons. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Okay.
But my singing coach had to leave, and he sent out an email recently saying that he is still going to take on private clients, and he sent his rate in the email for everyone in case they wanted to continue work with him. And he's like, not that off from my rate. And I'm like, okay, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that rate.
No.
Not at all.
Right. But you're thinking about, go ahead.
But I'm like, if my rate is not that far off from his rate and it's a medical necessity, like I'm not in a bad space.
Yeah. Sometimes you really got to know your worth.
And like, I'm in Facebook groups all the time of like business owners and stuff like that. And they're like, I'm paying $100 for like a week for swimming lessons or gymnastics.
And you're like, and I'm charging what over here?
Uh-huh.
I know. And I think, you know what? That's part of market research.
Yeah.
Is to just put it out there. And sometimes you're like, the fees are astronomical. And I think living in Jersey City does that too.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't charge that much. I just couldn't do it. I could not feel well doing that. That would make me not feel well.
Yeah. But then even also, when I worked in a hospital, I was able to sneak a peek at the rates that they charged for the same service that I'm providing.
In the hospital, yeah.
And it's like 3 times.
Oh, yeah. It's thousands of dollars because they have contracts with insurance companies and they think they can do that.
And guess what? When insurance doesn't cover it, it's put on the patient to pay.
Yeah. Patient responsibility, 100%.
And that's the crazy part, where it's the exact same service that I'm offering, exact same service that a lot of people are offering, and they're putting this astronomical price on it.
You know, that's what I don't get. It's like, also there's like this fallacy or this like, partition, I guess, of like, parents think if I go to the hospital versus going to a private clinic versus going, we're all the same therapist. We work sometimes, we work 2 and 3 jobs.
I got 4 jobs.
Right. So like we're all the same therapist. But like this hospital is billing your insurance thousands of dollars. It's not right.
Yeah. And I've even gone so far as like, I had a client who lived near the university that I work at. And I said, hey, like you live close to there. You can I'm more expensive than if you go to the university. The only difference is you'll be working with like students, but like you'll still be getting therapy. I was just very honored that they were like, no, I want to work with you.
And that's the best feeling. That is the best
But like
feeling.
here I am as a therapist, like again, like we're helping profession. Here I am literally trying to push this potential client away.
Yeah.
Because I know the options and I know that the only option for them is to pay me out of pocket, and they still wanted to still work with me. And that's like something that's like hard for me to fathom sometimes.
And it shows your true character. It shows that you really care. Like you really care. This isn't about money for you. I mean, some of it is about money because you got to make the money, but
exactly.
We get calls here all the time for children under 3. And in the state of New Jersey, they have early intervention. So you don't need, I said, call me. And I tell Veronica, I tell other staff here, but they'll come back if they need us after 3. They will come and they'll remember that we helped them when they were 1 and 2.
And we still get kids here. You still get kids here that don't want to go through an early intervention and want to come here.
Yeah, and they do want to come here. And that's special. That's really nice.
Well, I think we should wrap things up.
Okay.
We've been chit-chatting.
We can do this forever.
Oh my God, too much. But I want to end with 2 things. One, I want to ask you to plug yourself in. Tell us a little bit about Little Milestones, where you're located, what you offer, and what you do.
Thanks for the plug. So we are Little Milestones for Small Discoveries, located in Bergen Lafayette section of Jersey City, 568 Communipaw Avenue.
Oh, you got that memorized.
Yes, please. I mean, it's been almost 3 years. Please visit us on our website, www.lm4sd.com, and find us on Instagram and Facebook.
And I work here too, so
we'll be tagging you.
I'll get tagged. And then the last thing is, so this is a podcast about Tell Me About It. I want you to tell me how you have been able to use your voice to make a difference in your field of work, in this community.
How I've been able to use my voice. I read something on Instagram the other day, a friend of mine tagged me in it. It's like, be that little girl with the big name that does big things or something like that. And like, I think about being a little Black or Hispanic girl with this long name, using my voice to help others, right? Showing children in my family, girls in my family, women in my family, in my community, that they can do big, hard things. If they can do anything they put their mind to, right? And you can wear more than one hat. You can be a mom, you can be a wife, you could be a business owner, you could be a friend, a sister, a co-worker, a supervisor. You can do it all. You don't have to fit in a box. That's it.
And just showing people that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And they can do it too, because we get so many pictures of people that aren't us doing it. So we think that it can never be me.
Oh my, this conversation could, yes, keep going. It's true.
Yeah.
Like it's be living in a sandwich generation too, like taking care of my mom and taking care of my kids and taking care of my business. And like, it's a lot. But when you close your eyes, and I remember in high school, my high school teacher said, my history teacher, I'll never forget. He told the class, close your eyes. And I want you to picture an American. And he said, now open them. And then he said, how many of you saw a white guy with a beard and a bandana on his head? And I was like, oh my God, that was me. Oh my God, how did he know? But like, you don't ever picture yourself doing these things.
No.
You don't know that you can. You don't know that you have it in you.
I didn't know I was going to be doing this.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
this was
you.
great.
I loved it.
This was fun.
It was fun. I loved it.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mr.
everyone,
Chris.
for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.